Excellent. Let's get rolling.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Quoting4act demo, and Ken will be leading it. So Ken, go ahead.
Terrific. Thank you, Vic. So for all the people in attendance, thank you very much for showing up. This is going to be a deep dive on Quoting4act. This is a product that we developed last year. It has been evolving quite a bit as we have been evolving the tables technology, which has allowed us to expand the features. I just wanted to quickly show this product in our shopping cart so we can quickly cover some of the high-level details. It is a perpetual product. It is not something that you've got to pay for year in, year out. It is based on activation. Okay, there's a 14-day trial. It supports all versions from 18 forward. We're only listing V18 forward. It does support back to V16, but obviously since V16 is no longer supported, we're not mentioning that. Of importance here, 2 points. One, this works in both Act for Windows and Act for Web, and I will be covering a demonstration of both of them. And then the prerequisite is that it does harness the Tables4act or Premium Plus technology. Okay, so for more details on that, you can go to our shopping cart, type in quoting, and you'll find it. You can read all of this. I won't be obviously covering this by way of reading, but I wanted to just quickly introduce this as a bookmark that you can follow up with later. Okay. The key thing with Quoting4act is it does not involve another application outside of Act. It works totally inside of Act, and it works as a seamless part of the opportunity workflow. Okay, so as you create an opportunity, you will be one click away from creating a quote, which is what most sales managers want to see of their sales reps, or what most salespeople want to do. They want the shortest gap between creating an opportunity, creating a quote, and then having a pipeline that they can follow up with. So we've built Quoting4act around that thinking. So this is a demo database, and I'm going to quickly just pivot over to the opportunity list. I've got nothing here prepared. There's no quotes or anything, but I'm just going to select a random one, and I'm going to open this up. Okay, so what you see here is in preparing a standard quote, it's going to default to open. You're going to have the process. We don't care what the process is or what the stage is. We do recommend that you set the estimated close date, okay, to reflect the valid to date. Okay, the initial open date. None of these things matter insofar as the quote. You obviously want to make sure it's open, that kind of thing. But what's really important here is how you're going to calculate the value. So in this particular case, I've added, basically two one components, standard widgets, each of them $1,000 a piece. Or sorry, the cost is $1,000 a piece, and you've got an extended price of $2,500. Okay, so here you can see this, all standard stuff, nothing surprising on this. This is the kind of thing that any Act user would be familiar with. Now, if I wanted to add something here, I'm just going to type in service, and I can call it anything contract. I'm going to put in 100, and I'll put in the price of 500. Okay. I'm actually going to just put in 2 just to be different. Okay, so now all the calculations, which you don't have to worry about, are all being reflected up here. Okay, now at this point, you've basically created a very normal opportunity. Now, what you want here is to have a seamless transition going from here to quote. So what could be simpler than just having Quoting4act? You click on Quoting4act. Boom. You immediately have all the information that you need to prepare a quote. Now, let's go through some of the settings so that you can set it up and customize it for your type of business. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the settings, and here's where you start to put in the kind of stuff that's going to be the default for all your future quotes. So the first part, I'm not going to get the presets yet. I'm just going to show you this existing settings here. So we've got the logo. This is obviously going to be any kind of image that you can grab, any kind of corporate image. This will go at the top of your quote. Then you're going to have a quote prefix, because if you've got many people, especially in an ACT environment, that will have subscriber copies of the database, you're not going to be able to reconcile that quote numbering system, okay, so that it's exactly sequential with any other remote databases. So what you're going to do is you're going to set up a prefix that's unique. So even if the number that's generated is the exact same, it's going to have a unique prefix so that all quotes will end up being unique. Okay. Quote suffix, we put this in by customer request. Sometimes people will like suffix based on a particular department or something like that. It was an easy request to fill, so we put it in. Tax number, certainly in Canada, having the sales tax number there is extremely important, and it should be on all quoting documents if you are going to calculate tax and include that in your quote. We want to put a footer in here, standard information, not a disclaimer, but footer information like company slogan or anything. We had a little fun with this and put in, "We take the win out of a win-win relationship." Obviously, we recommend a different slogan for outside use. And then we put in a disclaimer, again, along the same comedy theme. We promise never to give you your money back. But, this would be where you would put things like payment terms. You would put things like, a signed contract forms or a signed estimate forms a binding contract, the kind of thing that you would want, or maybe any return policies, things like that. The kind of stuff you do not want to be, reprinting each and every single time. So this goes in as kind of a field that will be surfaced in your quote each and every single time. Now, the other nice thing is that to avoid you having to copy out the same or rewrite the same kind of email cover letter every single time, you can put in the email content that will default each and every single time you send a email. Okay, so there you go. The other things is the fonts and the colors, so that you can kind of really form an identity on the theme of the quote that reflects your corporate branding. So you're going to use a logo, you're going to use any colors, you're going to use any fonts, things like that, that really reflect your overall corporate branding. The other thing is that you're going to set up your default taxes. Now, we're a company that sells across the world, so sometimes we're going to have, different tax settings. Or if we're selling from province to province or south of the border, then we'll have different tax settings there as well. You can set up multiple tax settings here as well as the default. Okay, currency settings as well, where we can set up. Actually, since it's the first time I'm using this, I will put in USD. And I will put in CAD. Okay, and since we're a Canadian company, we're going to put in set as default. Okay, and these will be our default settings each and every single time. Now, as you can see, I'll put in here. You can see here it's automatically generated a quote number. Okay, it's incorporated a sequential number along with the date. Okay, date and time to make it really super customizable. Now let's take a look at the different settings that we've got here. So it's pulled in all of the information that that was included in the opportunity, nothing to customize here. And now you've got the opportunity to select, which taxes are going to apply. So in this case, if you in some states, and certainly it used to be the case in some provinces, that certain types of services were not subject to tax. Okay, that's evolved where now pretty much all of them are, but this gives you the flexibility to customize which items on your quote will be subject to tax or not. And the second thing is apply foreign exchange. We sell a lot to Canada and a lot to the United States. And if we're selling goods that we're bringing in from the United States, we have to apply a foreign exchange fee. Okay, this is something that we probably incorporated more to reflect our type of business, but we figured if it applies to us, there will be some other people in a similar type situation. Okay, and then we can say here, apply that, and then when we set the foreign exchange over here, okay, then it will reflect in the quotation. Okay, deposit override. What's nice is that you're going to set the deposit required, and then with these, you can set a specific override. So let's say that you need a deposit of 30% on labor. You may want to put a deposit of 50% on goods that you've got to go out and buy. So this gives you some flexibility. A lot of this information that you're going to see here, it's pulling in from the contact. So here you can see all the information relating to the contact that this opportunity was attached to. It's pulled in here. Now, by default, this valid to date is going to be exactly 1 month from today's date. Okay, so what you can do then is set it here. So obviously every single quote has to have a valid to date, and you can set that information in here. Okay, you can see here the product total, and this is where you can put in the information on, let me just use the dialer here, information on shipping. Okay, not necessarily applied, but you've got the option to do so. Okay, and here's foreign exchange. Okay, let's actually apply today's current foreign exchange. Okay, and now we've got subtotal, we've got tax amount, and we've got all this recalculate. Okay, now let's take a look at some of the other options that we've got over here. Here is the deposit required. I'm going to say, let's bring this down to, say, 50%. It's nice to have these little dialers here because sometimes if you're working within a browser or you're working, with different input devices, this makes it a little easier. Okay, and it automatically calculates that. Then you can have the ship to. This particular person didn't have additional information. Now let's take a look at the information that we've got down here. So send email after saving PDF. So basically, if I do here and I click on save and close, it's going to launch the email. If I select quote for internal usage, then what it will do is it will reflect on the document the cost as well. So obviously, this is not something that would be customer facing, but if you have an internal communication with someone, let's say a sales manager to a sales rep, you can include this so that they understand what the company cost is and what the end user cost is. Okay, show grid lines is just a design thing if you wish to include the grid lines. And then here's something where you can actually disable the whole foreign exchange. Okay, so I'm going to disable that. Now, at this point, simple, you just click on print the PDF, and there it is. Okay, so as you've noticed, absolutely, we've not gone out of the program at all. We've stayed in the program the whole time. And let's take a look at the top here. So we've got the logo, we've brought in the My Contact information, sold to, shipped to, we've got the salesperson, the currency, the quote number, issue date, expiration date, okay, and then a breakdown of this, okay? And then we've got shipping costs, which we stated, okay, the HST in this case, and then the total tax amount, everything else. Now, you can see additional quote details. Deposit required is $3,500, and then the deposit has to be issued before this, okay? So you need to receive a deposit by this date. Then you've got your sales tax number, and then you've got your standard acceptance slide. So please print your name, sign it, date it, and send it back, okay? And then here's where you've got your disclaimer, and then at the very bottom, you've got the slogan centered. Okay, so you'll have all this information here, okay, and then it's ready to send. So in this case, you would just click on email, okay, and you've immediately got the information. This would normally pull it in, so I'm checking. Okay, this particular contact, clever enough, does not have an email, so that was rather a poor choice, but this would pull in the contact's email, and as you can see here, you've got the attachment option for any BCC or CCs, and then you've got the default email content that I showed you earlier, okay? And then you click on send, okay? Obviously, there is no email there, okay? So let's take a look at how this looks in the initial setup, and then we're going to transition over to seeing how it works in the web. So I'm going to save and close. Now, before we do the setup, I want to show you what things have actually been created here, okay? So what's happened now is that because we rely on custom table technology, okay, we have, if we go over to quotes, it's actually created a custom quote, okay? And here is the custom table relating to everything on this quote. So now you're going to see it without any of the formatting. You're going to see the shipping, you're going to see the record details, everything else. So here's all the nested information here, and you've got all the calculations around here. This is why it's important to have the custom table back end. Okay, so you've got all of this information stored, plus also products can be stored in the product table as well. Now, when you first get Quoting4act and you install it, okay, and then you try to use it, you will get an error message unless you do the initial setup, okay? So you click on setup, and it's going to ask you to import these two tables. And this is standard table importing process. You select both of them, and then you click on next, 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 and it brings in those tables. It's a process that takes about a minute, and when it's done, then you will be able to start quoting. Okay? And then here also gives you the option, if you've got a CSV file or a text file, that you can actually import from a spreadsheet and bring in all those products, so even less things to worry about on the fly. Okay? So that is as simple as it is. Now, as you saw, there's absolutely no additional effort that was done. We didn't have to go outside the program or anything like that. We just created our opportunity. We clicked on Quoting4act, and then the rest was easy. Okay, so I'm going to stop now, and we're going to pivot over to our database on the web. It's a slightly different user interface, but all the functionality and workflow follows along the same pattern. Okay, so same thing here. You've got going through the contact screen, opportunities. I'm going to go into custom widgets. Okay. Okay, custom widgets. And you can see here under products and services, I've got some widgets, okay? And in this case, I've got quantity of 2, cost is $50, price is $1,000, so that's a healthy markup. And I'm just going to add, like I would normally. I'm going to select from item 1. That's a pretty lousy name, so I'm going to say installation of widgets. Okay, and we're going to say match the quantity. Labor cost we'll say is 50. And then the extended cost will be 100. Okay. And just do a quick save. And now, instead of right here in the body, we've got it up here. So I'm going to click here, opportunity quote. And now here's this screen. Okay. Now, just to quickly view the same kind of setups. Okay. Here is what the settings look like. Okay, so you've got a lot of the same setups, default font, size, logo, prefixes, same kind of thing. Okay, now you'll notice that there's a few less options in terms of presets and things like that. And that's not because the web is especially limited in that way. For the purposes of this demo, we already had it set up using a previous release of Quoting4act. One of the nice things that we were working on recently that's going to be introduced with Premium Plus next month with Premium Plus 21.1 is the ability to support what you're going to see as multiple presets. Okay, and I'm going to go back and cover that in a few minutes. But our setup here is using an older version of tables, so you're just going to see it, with the way it was previously set up. But again, you've got the same kind of font size, font color, everything, the same kind of footer, tax numbers, everything else. Okay. So now it's going back to this. Now, again, you're going to see the same information that came across the top. You're going to have, because it's in a web environment, you're going to have a few more things like the calendar pop-ups. Okay, you've got the deposit 100% with the dialers here. Okay, and then you have the ability to select the deposit requirement. Okay, to recalculate, and then it's pulled in all the other information. Okay, so very similar to what you saw in the Windows environment. Now we can just click on a quick preview, and we can see the PDF down here. Okay, and as you can see, pretty much what we expected from the previous one. We don't have any disclaimer or slogan information because we didn't input any, but otherwise all the other fields came over as we expected, and a very, very clean format that you can send out that's not editable and can proudly represent, I think, most businesses in terms of customer-facing proposals. Okay, so now let's go back here, okay, and then click on Quoting4act again. Okay, and you can just quickly kind of go through. You can see it's got all the same options, save to quote, you name it, and it'll operate exactly as it did before. Okay, so one of the things that has not been shown in previous Quoting4act webinars is some of the changes that are now available in the Windows version. So let's go back to here, okay, and bring this up, and we'll go back to Quoting4act. Now, one of the things that is kind of a unique requirement for our business, and I thought this was unique, but it was actually requested by a number of customers, is the ability to have multiple preferences. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, for Keystroke is a parent company, okay, but we have a number of subsidiary companies. We have Handheld Contact, we have the Act add-on shop. We've got a number of different businesses that we may want to represent in a quote. I was talking to a friend of mine this morning who has a window company, and he also has a distributor of products, okay, a secondary business, both with different names. So if that was the case, you want to have some flexibility in terms of how you can present a quote. So what you can do is say, let's say a new preset. And I'm going to click on this and say save, beer company. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set all new presets. I'm going to keep the same logo just so I don't have to go searching, and I'll put in, let's say, slogan, back, guarantee, and I'll leave the email contents alone, but I'm going to pick some different colors. Okay, and okay, let's go to Drive Pictures, and I'll have, let's just bring in an Act logo. Okay, so then I can set up different preferences here as well. Okay, and different different currency settings. But in this case, now I'm going to click on Save, and it's going to prompt me for a different company. Now, why is this useful? Well, if let's say that I've sent out a quote on behalf of one company, or if I've got a number of people on a network using the same one, I can actually then say, I'm going to be quoting this company instead. Or nope, I'm going to quote this company's services. And then when you go to print the PDF, it's going to show this one. So you'll have different information at the bottom. You can have different quote conditions, anything you like, different currencies, you name it. Okay, but this will allow you to be able to quote or have a number of people with different preferences, okay, to be able to quote for different departments. And it may just be based on different products, different departments, different companies, whatever, but this was one of the really nice additions that we were able to make with this last version of QuoteWorks, or last version of Quoting4act, based on the technology changes with tables and Act Premium Plus. Okay, so we are coming up on the half-hour point, so I'll pause right now and see if there's any questions. So Vic, do we have any questions?
I don't see any there. Oh, wait, no, we do have one. Let me just, 1 second, let me.
And I'll go back to the product page, okay, and just show that here. We do have a video here, okay. It does not include some of the newer features, as you can see here, some of the presets, but this is video was done based on a one that was produced by Greg Davis.
Okay, so I have a question here. Will this work for APC clients or just self-hosted web clients?
Right now, it is working with hosting providers, and it is working with Windows and web self-hosting. We are in communication with SwiftPage, so that because they don't have a quoting solution, and when we were down there recently, they expressed quite a bit of interest at hearing more about this. So, nothing new to report right now, but it does not, like this works, this is supported by hosting providers that have support for this, but right now, APC through SwiftPage is not amongst them.
Okay, and then second question, thought I saw this briefly. I saw briefly a product import. Does that import into op product list?
It imports it into the custom tables of Quoting4act. It does not bring it in to the product list within opportunities, which is a separate table altogether.
All right, that's it for questions here.
Okay, so just to recap, this is a $99 or $100 product, $99.95. Okay, it is licensed per activation. Okay, and it does require tables. Okay, so tables for Act or Premium Plus. It is not supported by any other tables technology, mostly because of the importing setup and all that. So it does require one of those two technologies. Okay, but I think you'll agree that for ease of use, the workflow is absolutely seamless. Like you're literally one click away after completing an opportunity to send out a quote. Now, what's nice is I'm going to put in a shameless plug for Handheld Contact here, because Handheld Contact actually supports the ability to create and edit opportunities. You can have people in the field, sales reps, service technicians, whichever, that can create an opportunity based on field information that they're getting either from the customer or whoever they're serving, and then sync that information back. And then anyone in the office, it could even be an administrative person, can simply take that opportunity information that's synced to the office and be one click away from sending out a quote. So this provides, because most of the work is done at the opportunity level, it provides input from really any kind of remote access, whether it's through the web, whether it's through Handheld Contact, remote database, whichever. Okay. I'm happy to wrap this up in 30 minutes. The nice part of this product is it's as simple to explain as it is to use. So hopefully this was of benefit. You can get some screenshots here. If you're curious as to how to find it, just click on here, shopping, and then just type in quoting, and you'll see it immediately. Okay, so if there's no additional questions, thank you very much. Vic, is there another question?
No, thank you, Ken. I think that's it for now.
Perfect. So thank you very much for everyone's time. This has been a deep dive for Quoting4act, and this has been recorded. Anyone that's attended, we'll send around the link afterwards and post it to our YouTube channel. Thank you, and have a great day.